Hi guys, Mr. Robeson here, AP Statistics. This is going to be the last section in 5.4. There will be a 5.5, but this should be review. It's continuous probability distributions, and we're talking about continuous. The one we're mainly looking at is normal probability distributions, and we already know how to find normal probability, so we're just really reviewing normal probabilities. All right, so situations involving measuring something. So we're not counting anything now, we're measuring it, where it can be all the decimal values in between the whole numbers. That's generally referred to as a continuous random variable. All right, think normal distributions. All right, it tells all values of a numbers on an interval. So we can't find the probability at exactly a point for continuous random variables. We can find it on an interval, like between 2 points, but we cannot find it exactly at a point. The problem is each point is too small, and each point will have a probability of 0. All right, because there's infinitely many points, there's infinitely many outcomes. If we take that total probability of 1, divide it up into an infinite number of different possible outcomes, we get 0. All right, so probability of any point on a continuous probability distribution, like a normal distribution, would be 0. Right, but if you have any interval, it's going to be between 0 and 1. So we're really looking at intervals here. All right, so here's an example. We've done this before. We've got a normal distribution with a mean height of 64 inches, a standard deviation of 2.7 inches. All right, we choose a woman at random. We call her height Y. We could call it X. It really doesn't matter. If we repeat this random choice very many times, the distribution of the values of Y is a normal distribution that describes the heights of all women. So here is our normal-ish distribution that describes the heights of all women. And then the question here is, what's the probability that the chosen woman is between 68 and 70 inches tall? All right, so remember, the way we find these sorts of areas is we use normal CDF on our calculator. We want to identify a lower bound, an upper bound, our mean, and our standard deviation. So the lower bound, it's starting at 68, so we'd say 68 is our lower. Our upper bound, it stops at 70. Our mean, they told us, was 64, and our standard deviation was 2.7. And then we would pull out our calculator and just type it in. So second vars, normal CDF number 2. All right, our lower is 68, our upper is 70, our mean is 64, and 2.7. And we just press enter a couple times, and there's our answer, 0.056. So we get that this area here was 0.056. All right, so according to past experiments, here's another example. The average bag of Skittles has a weight of 2.17 ounces with a standard deviation of 0.18 ounces. Assuming a normal distribution, find the probability of a bag weighing between 2.2 ounces and 2.4 ounces. All right, all of you should be able to just pull out your calculator and instantly do this problem, especially if it's a multiple choice. You don't even have to write anything down. If it is free response, you either need to draw a picture or you need to label your normal CDF. Lower, upper, mean, standard deviation. So our lower would be 2.2, our upper would be 2.4, our mean would be 2.17, and our standard deviation would be 0.18. We just throw that into our calculator under normal CDF, and it gives us 0.33. All right, so remember when you're doing this on the AP exam, if it is a free response, either you need to do all of these things listed in the top section or all of these things listed in the bottom section. So you could draw the curve, label the mean, label one standard deviation. All right, so the curve is labeled where we could write normal, mean, standard deviation like that. Color in the desired section we want. So maybe we're going from here to here. So we would color in this section with labels, whatever this is, x1, x2, all right, and then just state what the probability is. Like this was 0.38. All right, so that would get you full credit. All right, the other way, well, you don't even have to draw and label the curve. If you're going to do the normal CDF on your calculator, as long as you write out lower, upper, mean, and standard deviation, you can use the symbols, you can use mean, you can use standard deviation, you can just use the letter L and the letter U like I've been doing. That works. So if you label each number and you're saying right here that it's normal, and then say equals whatever number it equals, that is enough on the AP exam for full credit, as long as you label. If you don't label, you lose a lot of points there. All right, so remember that when you're doing your work. And that is it for this section. And we'll do 5.5 next class.